All right, give us some chill tunes. Well, I'm gonna have to work. I have to work out this dough here in my head. And this should only take a couple minutes or something. So thanks for being patient. Um, I show up to class every day to work this stuff out. And this is what leading. I've realized that this is what leading a gaming industry looks like. It's a lot of work like this every day, but you guys just get to kind of like be a fly on the wall. Anyway. All right, so I had an idea while working with some clients and on this game I'm working on. And I had some ideas pop in my head after long back and forths, which is not the place for breakthroughs, I've realized. Talking into the space of, you know, one of my first pillars ever, we coined the term dark meta. And dark meta is, you know, there's a deep space about it. There's a lot of things that I haven't said about dark meta for a long time now. Because I'm very scared the consequences that could teeter another, you know, create another 5 years of poor design because of actions and things that I'm talking about and viewpoints that I don't want to talk about. I don't want to give people these viewpoints because of what could come and what storm could ripple. And I mean it. I'm like not even joking. So I'm trying to like choose my words carefully to not unleash terror upon us. Because if people interpret what I have to say the wrong way, it could lead them to other design perspectives that could also go down a very dark path. Knowledge that could be used for evil. Yes. And I want to be receptive of that. So I want to be very careful how I word things because it could lead them to breakthroughs the wrong way. With great power comes a great responsibility, huh? I don't even know how to begin this. Okay. Let's just be careful. Okay. So we coined something a long time ago, one of my first Game Doctor pillars. It wasn't even a pillar. It was just coining something called dark meta. Let's put a starting line. This is our starting line. Put an S. Start. Here. Start. We'll put let's gamify it. Red. Orange. Like Mario Kart? Orange? Wait, does it go this way or is green at the top? Oh, fudge. Dude, I wish I had one of those drawing pads, but I know I wouldn't be good use for it. I always wish I could draw. Will this be on the exam? For my clients, maybe. Learning all the wrong things would surely never happen, right? Oh my god, when you put it that way. SD reminding myself that we learned all the wrong things so easily. Now I'm like super scared. It should be okay. Okay, so we have the starting line. And what happened is we created this culture. And again, I'm just walking myself through it. I'm not teaching here. I'm just talking to myself. We have this culture that created a space where roguelikes by nature somehow stumbled upon this very replayable emergent game space, right? It was very unique. You couldn't get it anywhere else, right? We'll say this is the game space that they created about, I don't know, when was Rogue and stuff, 20 years ago? I don't know. Anyway, and somehow we created replayability, oh my god, replayability and emergence. And players couldn't really get this anywhere else. They created this cult following of people that love it and put thousands of hours into it, a game with no updates, right? Like chess. And they can't get this feeling anywhere else. And it's kind of funny that is the genre I ended up falling in love with, and it's probably because I saw that X factor as I got deeper into gaming that I couldn't find anywhere else. There must be a reason why I fell in love with roguelikes, right? Of course, right? When you get into something and you realize, wow, there's something special here in this space. So fast forward, naturally, maybe it was always coming. Years later, it became more mainstream, right? Because people were chasing this feeling, this space that you couldn't get anywhere else. So then we started getting these other spin-offs naturally, because art evolves and design evolves. So people started working in different takes on this, right? With like Rogue Legacy 45 years ago. When was Brogue? What up, Inuasha? Replayability used to be New Game Plus. So I call that playability. I call New Game Plus playability. And I don't want to get into details on that right now, but I call it playability, and I think there's a difference. I think when we blanket everything, this is how it leads to chaos and words lose its meaning, right? So right now, we use the word replayability as if a game is replayable, right? I can keep playing and getting a different experience. Now, we would never say replayability, but we talk about like Super Mario, right? When we play Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo, it's always stagnant, right? We wouldn't use the word replayable. Look how much replayability it has, right? Because we don't use the word replayable in that sense, right? It's just not how we use it, right? And so I don't want to murk it. So New Game Plus, let's say I was playing a New Game Plus of Super Mario, it would still not, we still wouldn't use the word replayable. We would probably use the word has a lot of playability. The same way we would use the words to describe unlocking a new character in Street Fighter, right? We're not like, oh, Street Fighter has, you can unlock Ryu. Oh, now it's super replayable. No, it's unlocking another character. It's a game that's very playable. There's a lot of toys to play with. It doesn't mean it's a replayable game, which we usually use to mean we can play the same experience, play the same character, but it would be a different experience, right? So we'd say it's very playable. It has a lot of playable parts to it, right? You could put another quarter in, and you can play as Michelangelo in Ninja Turtles. You could play as Leonardo, right? It's very playable. And again, just for sake of semantics, right? So a New Game Plus, I would refer to as like, oh, you know, you can play again, but like very playable. It doesn't mean it's replayable. In that sense, we're like using the word literally, like you're replaying it, but we use replayability different, so I don't want to murk that up. We want to be responsible for that, because that's how words start getting really murky. So that being said, as design evolves, and we have to remember this is how it will always go, is that over time, design will evolve. So this will start to change into like, let's use the same blue. It'll change into like this kind of box, right? Because it's changing, and people are going to try new things out. Hopefully artists and stuff like that are going to try new things out. And so what that means is people started working in mechanics that we call dark meta. I like the clear definition on the terms. Helps a lot. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm not trying to like challenge you. You can believe whatever you want. Again, it's just semantics. I'm not trying to prove anything. But I do know what happens if we start blanketing everything. Look at the term roguelike, right? So I want to snip it in the butt ahead of time and not just be like, well, that's how, you know, there's always the people that take all power away. They go, oh, well, that's just how things are, right? They're the people that just want to sit on the sideline and just say it is what it is. I'm not that kind of person, right? No, let's do something about it. Brogue was 2009. Damn, it's crazy. That was a lot more recent. So that was like 30 years later? Wait. Yeah, like 30 years later. Well, God damn. Anyway, so where am I going with this? I don't know. I think I just need some precursor. I think I just need some... Because I need to see the overall evolution in my head too. Eventually, like Rogue Legacy and games like that started adding things like meta. Now, in that, there was regular meta and what we call now dark meta. But at the time, there was no words for that, right? They were just creating. And they were creating very smart, right? They were creating something that we haven't really experienced before. They were artists. They were shepherds. right? That was like, whoa. Now, what happens is you can also get in their mindset. Imagine that you don't have anything to copy and nobody has ever done this before and you're looking at roguelikes. Well, it usually starts with like solving a problem, right? So there is some beautiful things here. This is what I'm scared to talk about, but I'm going to talk about it very lightly. When we look back at like roguelikes of yesteryear, right? I'm one of the people that like rave about them. They're my favorite genre. So I'm always like, these are not roguelikes. Well, it's not just to be a stickler, right? I'm not trying to be the guy from the Muppets. Back in my day, this and that. No, there's a lot of problems that come with old school roguelikes in today's market. There's a lot of things that aren't great, right? Just like in a lot of games that we look back on, FTL and stuff, there's a lot of design that's very dated. It's very stale. It got rotten, right? It's the same with roguelikes. I'm not glorifying it to say they were perfect. No, they have a lot of issues today, right? And so one of those issues is the feeling of get good, right? It doesn't help you. It doesn't help the player. There's no GYB design. Esty, what's GYB design? Got your back. There's no got your back design. It's just screw you, figure it out, right? You'll get one shot and then just say get better next time. I hope you learn, kid. Right? There's a lot of not good design. There's nothing there to help you and guide you and teach you, right? So there's not good things as well. So imagine playing this world of roguelike, which we now call roguelike. Remember, they were just creating, and it's like emergent, and we want to be able to dive into this dungeon and immerse yourself, and it's always different. You don't know what to expect. It's very exciting, right? And it works, but with that, design evolves. So that means over time, things got rotten. There's things that are not great about it. Like, it doesn't help you. It doesn't encourage you. It doesn't push you. You got this, or, man, yeah, let's learn from this guy. You know what? Let's try, right? It doesn't give you ideas on how to work out the process and the math problem, right? Somebody gave us the answer. It doesn't say, well, this is how you can work out the problem for yourself, right? It doesn't help you. And so imagine these people that want to work on Rogue Legacy seeing what they want to create in this kind of replayable experience, right? And they didn't have anything to copy at the time. This is new. And they were like, yo, how do we start to solve that? What if we created this system where every time you play after, you would get new toys, you would make the space bigger, you would make the space different, you would get more damage, and we would kind of help them through. And so you could see they were very genius at the time. They were starting to question that. Little did they know it would have a ripple effect. Now everyone would start going down that path. Why? Well, that's because it's solving one of the bad things about old school roguelikes, right? And this is me saying it, my favorite genre, that's like, and I'm one of those people, no, this is not roguelike, right? But at the same time, we could take responsibility and talk. There's some rotten design there too. There's things that could be way better. And so they're solving this issue of kind of encouraging the player, hey, you're going to get better. You're going to get more toys. You know, as you get more toys and we hook you to do another round because we're encouraging you, you're naturally going to get better over time, right? We're going to keep encouraging you and you're going to get better. We're going to encourage you to get back on the horse, right? If we're learning something or we're learning something by ourselves, it's going to take a lot of like self empowerment to not get discouraged and not beat ourselves up. But if we had somebody there, a coach or a loved one, when we're learning to ride a bike as a kid, to say, hey, this is part of it. Get back on the bike. Get back. Oh, you got this. You're so close, right? That encouragement, there's a lot more likely that we're going to learn that thing, right? It's a lot more likely, right? So it's the same with game space, right? If I keep dying, it can be very easy to get in my own head. But if I have someone there saying, yo, why don't you try working on this? Giving us that encouragement, giving us that coaching, giving us those tips to make us believe that we can do it. Eventually we learn to ride a bike, right? We don't first ride a bike, we keep falling, but then we learn, but we have that encouragement. So the one thing that we don't see with this dark meta, because we're busy copying each other, is that there is a space where encouragement and pushing the player to the point where they are now used to said something could be very powerful. And this is the stuff I'm scared to talk about, because now people are going to be like, oh my God, if he's saying dark meta is good, they're learning the wrong thing. But I'm saying under a microscope, if we look how things evolve, we live in a market that is terrible at onboarding. It actually doesn't exist. We don't like help people understand our games at all, like at all. Now, to even go further, talking about encouragement, and you can see how dark meta could also be that encouragement in a different form. We if you think about it, we kind of peaked at like helping the player understand and learn years ago in like Dungeon Mans. I play everything under the sun, and I can't name another game off the top of my head except Dungeon Mans. Like, what the hell? This solo passion project in a roguelike is the only one to take on helping the player understand? How has this happened? How are we that far gone? How do I hear that many devs saying tutorialization is hard? You're not even tutorializing. What do you mean it's hard? I didn't even see you try. It's hard? Hard means you're trying and it's tough. I don't even see people trying. I don't. I see them telling people buttons and stuff, but I don't see them helping players understand and tutorializing. I see them just giving the instruction manual of saying, do this, right? And so I began thinking deeper and deeper. When I played Dungeon Mans, and when was Dungeon Mans? When was Dungeon Mans? Like, we peaked in when? Shout outs to Jim, by the way. Make sure you go give him his flowers. I hope he sees this. When did we peak? 2014. And the only time I even saw close again was the Pico game Solitude. 2014. What the hell have we been doing? So let's keep going. In 2014, now years ago, and I haven't seen anything since, you want to start talking about the problem, we don't know how to encourage our players. So now we have this kind of traditional roguelike where, you know, there's permadeath and stuff like that where people are very used to. Remember, get good, I don't give an F about you. And now getting something, fast forward 30, 40 years later, we have something like Dungeon Mans that when a player dies, the game helps. They give us that encouragement to get back on the horse. What do? They say, hey, by the way, it looks like you have 4 different healing potions in your inventory, right? Maybe you should try, maybe those healing potions could have helped, right? It also looks like you have 4 different movement options off cooldown. Was there a possible way to like get out of this bad situation? Hey, it also looks like in the last 4 turns of your life, you were surrounded and took giga damage, maybe like 4 turns ago, or maybe realizing you're in a bad situation a little bit sooner and getting the hell out of there. Right? Do you see how the game is trying to give you ideas that you might not have so you can go, aha, that makes sense. That makes sense. You know what? I could do that. And then next time, if they use their healing potions, they're going to feel like they're making progress. I am learning to ride a bike. But the game pushes us and encourages us there. It doesn't say get good. And you want to talk about tutorialization and onboarding is hard? We don't even do it. So I'm exploring this process, and it's interesting that the thing I hate the most, dark meta, well, I see why people also gravitate towards it, is that if they're having a hard time or they can't really understand, which is very hard because I remember trying to understand and learn deck building by myself and I couldn't because I didn't have the tools, because I thought it was just pick the fanciest card, pick the best card. Right? Pick the rarest card. If it's a rare, it's got to be good. Pick the shiniest card. That's what I thought deck building was. I didn't know. I didn't have the tools. I didn't have the concepts, right? But that's not necessarily my fault. I got given a game that didn't explain anything to me. It just told me to play cards that cost mana, and when I go to 0 mana, end turn. It didn't tell me anything else. So when I see people gravitate towards this, well, there's an encouragement here, right? They die, and there's something saying, you got this. There's something saying, keep going, right? Now, do I think that we evolved into a good form of encouragement? No. I think nowadays we're so far lost that we're calling this content, which really is, no, they're shaving things and then making you chase it, and we're calling it content. And that's why I'm scared to talk about this stuff. People are going to learn the wrong things. So what I wanted to explore here today, and welcome everybody coming in. I can't really keep up on chat right now, and you guys are not entering a lecture. You're entering me really talking to myself and exploring, and I don't know what this is going to come to. I'm not here to teach something. I'm here to explore something that could end up teaching something. Just a heads up, y'all. So when I see these problems start as solutions, right? they start as solutions and design evolves. So that means other design over time becomes rotten. So when I see dark meta and I see meta in general, it was somebody that pioneered, one, it's a shepherd, which we don't have a lot of. And if you guys think you're the shepherd, you're probably not. We don't have a lot of shepherds. That's just the reality of it. I'm not challenging you or poking. I'm just saying that is the reality of it, right? So we have these shepherds that pioneered, and they started to solve a problem of old school design. What they wanted to do is capture it because they saw something beautiful was there in the rogue-like space as we call it today, which is emergence and replayability, which doesn't really exist, right? And so, of course, why would we not want to copy this design, right? It's phenomenal. You can't get that space anywhere else. So then what we also wanted to do is start to solve the problem and give the player encouragement, which is a very powerful thing. Now, where I want to go is there's a way to boil it down even further. The mental space of what we're actually doing, we can keep boiling down. So when we boil it down, we realize that one, it's encouragement. How do you spell encouragement? Let's put it in, what color should we use? So one, it's encouragement. Oh, whatever. And I'm not the language doctor. Encouragement. So when it's encouragement, got it. And I realized that another thing, and this is where I really wanted to explore today, this stuff is just kind of what happened, is the other thing, how do I word this? Is when I'm learning to ride a bike and I keep falling off. And maybe it's very easy, especially as a human, to not see the bigger picture, that we might be making improvement. And I see this when you learn any game, right? If you play a platform fighter and you get in a battle while you're new and you die, and then you get in another battle and you die, it could be very easy to lose track of the little progress you're making if the progress doesn't equal a win. But it doesn't work like that, right? Progress does not work like that. If this is a box of learning, and the right side is being good and winning, and the right side is you just started and you suck, I went through 300 hours of learning Rivals of Aether and platform fighters before I started winning. And one of the things that I've learned and realized is that, like, while you're in the thick of it and learning, it's very hard to tell if you don't have somebody there that has your back that's not attached, because you're going through the feelings of getting the crap beat out of you and losing. And what happens is, what we do is, in our head, is we tie winning to getting better. Winning. And as we hear this, and as I talk myself through this, I realize that we do that with everything in life, right? If we don't get what we want, we're failing. But what happens is there's this huge gap of big progress before you naturally get the outcome. It's not just win or lose. There's a huge bar of improvement, right? So if I jump into a shooter and I'm trying to get better and our team loses, I might go, damn, we still suck, right? Not good enough, right? But what happens is I could be getting better and working towards that. And that could be hard to see. It could be getting better. It could be, whoa, I nailed 3 shots that I never used to make, right? I held 2 angles and I nailed a flick shot. Oh my God, I used the right weapon and I swapped to the right weapon during a specific time. Oh my God, I used my utility correctly here. And maybe I led somebody else to get a kill. You see, when you're so close, it can be really hard to see these positive things, right? What I didn't see while I was losing in learning platform fighters for hundreds and hundreds of hours is the progress that it was a lot harder for my opponents to kill me, right? And maybe those matches were going longer because I was getting better and they were having a harder time. Maybe I comboed a little bit better, or applied more pressure, and it just didn't lead to victories. So there could be huge improvement happening. Now, how does this tie back into this roguelike space? Well, for me, what I wanted to explore here is that knowing what I know now, and that we do not tutorialize or onboard, and I know people say it's hard, but we don't do it at all. And now that I know the truth, I know that there's going to be this want from people, even if it's subconscious, of encouragement, of help. Of course, it's because we suck at it, right? We fall off the bike and nobody's there to like say, get back on. Actually, you're making progress here. You're learning. We suck at it. So naturally, I would want that too, right? If I didn't have the brain that I have today and I was just a normal consumer, I would want that too. I would chase that too, right? It's like somebody saying, good job. No, get back on. You got this, right? Hey, look, I actually noticed that you improved here, right? Nah, you didn't win, but like, dude, you actually got so much better here, right? That encouragement. So with this in mind, that people, if they don't win, that equals they're not making progress. And we know that's a human condition, not just gaming, in life, right? And I'm talking about myself heavily here. It must feel really bad to go back to this point and lose hope, right? It must feel really bad. And it almost sounds like meta and dark meta and this need for it, right? Almost subconsciously, you hear people, and now I have this new vision. You hear people talk about it and they say, well, I'm losing all my I don't have anything to show. I don't have anything to show. I don't have anybody saying that I'm making progress. What they're also saying is I can't see it. I can't see it. I can't see where I'm getting better. I just know that I lost. I just know that I'm not winning, so I can't see my progress. So what happens is we created this artificial system that says that you're getting somewhere. But that's because we're also living in a world that we don't do that at all, right? We don't tutorialize. We don't onboard powerfully. We don't help players understand, right? So of course they're going to chase this. Of course they're going to chase it, even if it's artificial. And so in a way, we have to take some responsibility here for this culture. And so this leads me to my other point of one, encouragement, and two, the one that I really started this for and I wanted to explore is this illusion of the starting point moving. The illusion of the starting point moving. Move the starting point. Now, where does this bring us? Move. Now, how do I see this? Why did this pop into my head? Move the starting point. Move the starting point. And so when this popped into my head this weekend, I was trying so hard not to explore it too much because I wanted to save it for my creative space here. But I could not get that out of my head this weekend. The illusion of moving the starting point. The illusion that understands the psychology of starting over or losing or falling off the bike and being able to say, no, I'm progressing. I am getting better to the point where I can ride the bike. Having somebody have your back is a lot easier, and somebody telling you that you're doing good and learning that we all need. And it's right under my nose, right? Now I'm tying it all together. I always tell my clients what we've learned is you have to remember that our client base is closer to children. They're closer to children, right? And when you picture that, you'll see why they act the way they do is they lead by emotions. They're just free-formed by emotions, right? It's if they can't have ice cream before bed, you're going to hear about it, even if it's not good for them and they don't see the good. Give us online multiplayer. They don't know the bad that comes with it, right? They just ask for things because they want it. I just want the ice cream, right? But they might not see that it's terrible. We won't be able to follow. They don't see the bad that comes with it. They don't understand design. I've seen one game many years ago, and it gave the player what they wanted. And they were like, give us online multiplayer, it would be so cool, right? So the devs go away to work on online multiplayer, which took a year. And then during that year, you've had so many people complaining. Abandoned game, where's our updates? Where's the content? And I saw this war poll because then the devs are like, we're giving you what you want. We're working on the online multiplayer. They're like, what? Right? Because to them, it's just make a quick update, right? They don't know. They're closer to children. They don't care. We're just asking for things. We don't know it costs anything, right? We don't know that. Just when we go to Toys R Us, it's just buy us a toy. We don't think past that. We're not thinking that you have to work for the money to buy us this and the food and take us to Disney. We just want it. That's all we do. But for some reason, we don't understand that on the developer side, and we don't understand the depth of it on the consumer side. We're both very ignorant, both of us, right? Because if you think you're the dev that's smarter, well, look how much we rely on early access, which is asking those people what we should do. Think about it. We're just going to leave that there. So, knowing that we're all this far gone, it starts making me think that we first have to become smarter with our product and learn the psychology that people need encouragement. And remember that we started in a place of finding the rogue-like space that started this wonderful design that became a phenomenon, 20, 30 years later, where everyone's adding rogue-like elements. It became a phenomenon. Why? It's because it's a unique space that you can't get anywhere else. But two, also learning and being smart, the Game Doctor work, learning that design goes rotten, that there's a lot of bad things coming with it. And so what you see is these people, this weird culture of trying to fix what's wrong with these things, like what's bad, but not knowing how to do it. So we get things like dark meta, 1%. But of course, people are going to resonate with that because we're moving the starting point, even if it's an illusion. Even if it's an illusion, we're moving the starting point. And so then the player wants to get back on the horse and try to ride the bike. They want to try to get back on the bike and learn balance, right? We're encouraging it, saying, no, you got this, you got this. So even if it's an illusion, people are taking it and they can't see any further. So what I'm saying is when we boil these things down, and I look through the bad design, and I x-ray vision through the bad design, there is things to learn here, and there is things that can be powerful. And one, it's encouragement. And this also ties into tutorialization, the big T that we do not do today. It's non-existent. None of you guys do it. None of you, right? It's like 1 out of 300 games do it, right? I don't see it ever. This is why I'm referring to Dungeon Mans back in 2014. So what I'm seeing is, as we evolve and get ahead of the market, one, we're going to learn how to encourage, and two, the illusion of moving the starting line to make sure that they see that they're learning. If it's a hard game or it's emergent, with that comes a lot of learning. It's the equivalent of falling off the bike. It's the equivalent of being sucky at a fighting game and losing over and over. It's the equivalent of booting up Counter-Strike here today and you haven't played it before and everyone's a professional. It sucks. It's really hard. It's really hard. So to not have someone there to say, dude, you're making progress here. Let's go. Right? It is really hard. So to go all the way back into some of the design that didn't evolve well with the roguelike space and kind of take responsibility there, well, it's a literally the game of get good, kid. We're not going to help you learn. I hope you want it bad enough, which is not very marketable. That's a crappy feeling, right? So we need to extract what's beautiful there and evolve and take out the poor design that we're evolving out of. And it seems to boil down to these things. Encouragement, and move the starting point, even if it's an illusion. Move the starting point. Why is it moving the starting point? Well, I've also noticed I've also noticed that if you just unlock things and you give players like new characters to unlock or a new toy, they're starting at the same starting point with something new. But that doesn't move the starting point. That is a new toy or new sneakers to start the race with. Now, if they start that race over and they still fail, they again go back to this, where it might be hard to see that they're making progress because humans don't really think that way a lot of times. That's a skill set, to notice your own progress in the grand scheme of things, right? If you are like, I want to stream on Twitch and man, I think I can go viral and I think a lot of people are going to be there. And then you get the rude awakening and you stream on Twitch and there's nobody there, or there's one person there, you get in your own head. Now, you might be making progress, right? But remember, we just focus on that, the end goal, right? As a human, we all do it. I do it all the time. It sucks, right? And we have to learn and teach ourselves to spot progress. So what progress might look like is learning how to stream, and you get the stream working. Then you might learn how to make the audio better. You might learn how to make a pop-up happen. You might learn how to communicate that you're going live. You might learn how to read chat while interacting and doing something entertaining. You might learn how to engage better. You might learn how to be comfortable in front of a camera. There is infinite progress you can make, even if you didn't hit that goal, but all of that is hard to see when you're attached, right? So it goes back to moving the starting point, giving a player some new sneakers to start a race with. And again, I'm very scared to say this all out because people might learn the wrong thing and we might have another 5 years of poor design. So again, I started this conversation being, I am very scared and weary to say too much and say it in the wrong way, that people are going to learn the wrong things here, because I might cause a ripple effect. Giving people sneakers and saying get back on the bike doesn't necessarily help, because we're not creating the illusion of moving the starting point. Hey, you are not where you started. And so that's why we would still seek that other encouragement, that other meta, because that's all that they've eaten and that's all they can say, that's all they know. But what they're actually looking for deep down is they want to know that they're not back at the starting point, that we're making progress and that we're learning. And I don't know what that looks like here. But I think if I could start to encourage my clients and encourage people to be artists and learn how we can create a very cool moving starting point, even if it's an illusion, and start encouraging the player in these hard spaces where they're falling off the horse to get back on the horse, I think that's going to lead us to the next breakthrough in onboarding and the next breakthrough in game design. And why is this a big deal? Is because right now, if this is our bar of where we are and why I think it'll lead to breakthroughs, it's because if this is our overall goal of onboarding and helping players understand, we're right here. And I'm not joking. We're at like 10%. We are terrible. That's what I've learned over the last 6 months. We are terrible at it. So that's why I could see that there is a world of improvement that we can make. And of course they go to dark meta because we suck at it. We can't get it anywhere else. And I say we, I hate it, but I can see past it. I can also see, unattached to SD, Game Doctor brain, why the market leans towards it. So I think that's my breakthrough for today, is that we need to learn to encourage and move the starting point. And move the starting point is another way to say also encouragement, that they want to feel and have someone tell them they're making progress. And not because they lost, because when they lose, they equivalent that to I suck or I didn't make progress. But what we're here to do is teach players, just because you didn't win doesn't mean you didn't make progress. You're getting better. Shout outs to Dungeon Man's Gym being the only game. Like, if Dungeon Man's Gym in 2014 told me onboarding and tutorialization's hard. I'm trying, look. And he told me it was hard, I would validate that. I would say, yeah, I get it, man. You're trying. Every other dev saying tutorialization is hard, well, you don't do it. You're busy copying each other. You don't do it at all. I've been studying it. None of y'all do it. So don't tell me it's hard. You don't do it yet. Tell me it's hard once you're doing it. And we don't realize that. No one's here to correct us, right? We just copy each other. We're too close. These circles are too close, and we're all just copying each other. Blind leading the blind, if you will. So if he told me it was hard, yes, because he's actually trying, right? And it's weird that I'm even bringing this game up, but I don't have much examples. I have Solitude as well, but I think they might have stumbled upon it. Where it's saying, hey, get back on the horse, bro. Here's some encouragement. You did good. You got further. You left a bunch of healing pots in your inventory. How about we try like using those? It looks like you put yourself in a bad position. You were surrounded by 3 monsters at the same time. Was there a way that you could have maybe like... Was there a way that you could have fought one at a time? Right? And now putting these ideas in a player's head that doesn't play those games would go, oh my god, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, wait. How about I try to fight them here next time? And that way only one guy can get to me, right? Oh my god, why did I just save those healing potions? Wait, that was a good option. Yeah, that's a good idea. Right? And do you see how now we're giving them ideas and helping them learn as if a coach would do it, as if somebody that had our back that was teaching us would do it, right? That sounds like a game that wants you to play it. Hey, let me help you out. It's not Get Good. It's not a Steam forum. Get Good, nerd. No, it's like, dude, I got you. I want you to keep playing this game. Let me help you out. Let me help you learn. Let me help you understand. Imagine I played, for 1 second, imagine I played a world that we started to adopt these principles that I'm talking about. Imagine I played Slay the Spire. Right? Imagine I played Slay the Spire, and I love going back to that. Because my community had to teach me how to play Slay the Spire. Why? Because Slay the Spire told me how to use mana. It told me, click on this card and swipe it up to use it. And when this number goes to 0, you end turn. And it told me that when I play a strike, I do damage, and when I play defend, I defend. Is that what I need to successfully play Slay the Spire? No. That doesn't teach me anything about deck building. I would click on all these shiny cards and all this cool stuff and wonder why I'm having a bad time. It's because the game didn't teach me at all. A chat had to teach me. Imagine for a second that we started to learn about actually onboarding, and Slay the Spire even had one pop-up that told me when I was about to draft, hey, make sure you think about what your deck needs more of. And did you know that sometimes the skip button is the best pick? Because then you're putting less stuff in your deck and you'll get to your other cards faster. If they even gave me an inkling, a seed, to encourage my growth into learning deck building and start teaching me those concepts, even in an organic way, maybe I would have began to learn deck building. But they didn't at all. They told me how to click on a card. Don't tell me tutorialization's hard until we're doing it, until we're trying. So, I think this thread did lead to something really powerful, and I'm glad we explored it. And I think I'm going to begin to look and begin to work with my clients is I'm realizing that what we're actually looking for and what players are actually looking for if they're having a hard time is what any human would look for learning anything, which is encouragement and that they're not going back to the starting point and that we're making progress. Let's freaking go, dude. The game Dr. Work is going to make the difference. We just don't know. We're busy copying each other. We're busy copying rotten design that was good 20 years ago. And we just don't know that we're not trying. We don't know because we're just doing it poorly. Nobody's there to tell us. Chat, this is huge. This is going to redefine what gamers are willing to play and interact time with, because it's not just about winning. Wow. That is so powerful. Let's keep going. Holy crap. I'm going to catch up on chat now. But I just want to thank you guys for giving me this space and to work my creative process. And this is how I learn every design process in the Game Doctor work and the Game Doctor pillars that lead to successful games. Just in case you guys don't know who I am, I created the Game Doctor work. That's like bigger than who I am. Actually, it's a lot bigger than me. And I've noticed that there's these pillars that create themselves in the industry. In pillars, I mean that it starts to jump out regardless of feelings, regardless of how SD feels. I noticed that the market tells us what good design is, and we don't see the signs. And I also noticed that we also copy a lot of bad design from each other. And so I created this formula, if you will. And so far, almost every single game that has adopted these principles has become like super successful. Just some recent ones like Tiny Rogues or Ballionaire or Brotato. You guys might have heard of. Yeah, it's like crazy. It's beyond me. It's beyond me. But it is very exciting. It is very exciting. Because at the end of the day, we're just trying to help, and we're trying to help the consumer win, and we're trying to help the dev win. But right now, we're all kind of blind leading the blind. So yeah, welcome.